Well, good afternoon or good evening from wherever you are in the Americas. Welcome. This is a University of Liverpool online webinar. My name is Nicole Wayman, and I will be your moderator today. Now, before we get started, please allow me to take care of a bit of housekeeping. You will find a Q&A text box available. We encourage you to submit your questions. We will be able to answer some of them live, while others will be answered by our team in the background. Thank you. And now please join me in welcoming today's panel. Once again, my name is Nicole Wayman. I will be your moderator for today. Joining me on the panel is Nicholas Kendrad. Nick, say hi.
Good evening, everyone. So happy to be joining you. Looking forward to spending the next hour with you guys. And hello to all the students out there, especially Wayne, Karen, and Andrew.
Thanks, Nick. On the back end, we have Enrollment Advisor Jamie Shaw. Jamie, you want to say hello?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for spending the next hour with us.
Thanks, Jamie. We also have Sammy Jabarine. He's an Enrollment Advisor with the University of Liverpool. Sammy?
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Sammy. Now, I'm quite pleased to introduce Charnel Seeley. Charnel is a July 2015 graduate of the MSc in Global Human Resource Management program. Good day, Charnel. Welcome.
Hi.
Awesome. Well, would you kindly take a moment and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your studies and your current situation?
Sure. I am a 2015 graduate of the Masters of Science in Global Human Resource Management. I am currently a personnel officer at the Personnel Administration Division. That is, I work in the public service of Barbados. And I am actually pleased to be part of this wonderful venture.
Well, thanks, Charnel. We'll hear more from Charnel as we go through the webinar, but now let's take a moment to cover the agenda for today. Today, we will provide you with information on the heritage of the University of Liverpool. The University of Liverpool is an original red brick university. From there, we will take a look at the accreditations and strong faculty presence. We'll then take a walk through online learning with our primary guest, Charnel Seeley. Charnel has very recently been promoted to personnel officer within her company and had a successful academic journey with the MSc in Global Resource Management program at the University of Liverpool Online. We will complete our webinar with a discussion on the next steps to enrollment and a live Q&A session. So let's get started. So Nick, can you tell us a bit about the University of Liverpool?
Oh, absolutely, Nicole. I'd be delighted to. And of course, Liverpool is known more for just the Beatles and the Liverpool Football Club. It's actually home of a world-class university that's been standing for over 130 years. So as you can see there on the screen, that we've been accredited since 1903, and we do hold the highest form of accreditation in the UK, which is known as a Royal Charter. And that just doesn't apply to the on-campus programs, it applies to the online programs as well. In addition to our university accreditation, we're very pleased to be a founding member of the Russell Group, which is the top 24 research universities in the UK. Speaking of research, we are the home of 9 Nobel laureates who have passed through our doors and have been given this award based on their research. So we are proud of the quality of education, not only for the on-campus programs, but for the online programs as well. We are consistently ranked, I'd say, within the top 170 universities in the world, or the top 1% of universities worldwide. That's just a testament to the development of our programs, the delivery, the support that we have been recognized within the top 1%. In addition to our university accreditation, which I mentioned earlier, the Royal Charter, we also have industry-specific accreditation. So we went the extra mile, for example, for our management school to be accredited through the AACSB, which Chanel studied under. Our computer programs are accredited, some of them through the British Computing Society. So in addition to being a academically accredited university, we have went the extra mile for our students to get industry specific. So you can rest assured that not only are you studying with a top class, fully accredited university in the UK, but your program is going to deliver on the learning outcomes for whatever industry, whether it be computer science or psychology or management, that you're currently working and studying in.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Now, as with our online students, the faculty come from all over the world and bring a wealth of education, subject matter expertise, and experience to our modules. Nick, can you tell us a bit about the faculty?
Of course. So Liverpool is a diverse city, and therefore our university is diverse, and our faculty, mirrors our students. We have a very diverse faculty for our online programs. As you can see, over 45 countries. I was looking today to prepare for the presentation, and I saw, very, very diverse from Africa to South America to the UK to Europe. Over 60% of them are going to hold a PhD. And the one thing that I really want to point out is not only are you getting a fully academically trained professor, so someone with a PhD in most cases, but you're also getting a professor that's an expert in what they're teaching. So in Chanel's case, if she was studying productivity management or human resource management, I bet she'll tell us that she had a professor that was an expert in that area. So you can rest assured that your professor will come with the academic qualification, but they're also going to come with the industry experience to back up what they're teaching.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. So now, as we do know that online learning environment is different than that from the campus. However, we believe the best person to tell us about this is Chanel. So Chanel, can you talk to us about the online learning environment?
Sure. The online learning environment is actually, it is different to what most persons, because there's always a perception that online studies are easy, which I can definitely testify and say it is not that easy that some people, perceive it to be, because some people say, oh, it's online, so it's like cake. No, it's not. You have to put in order to achieve your goal, you have to make a sacrifice. So with the online environment, for some it may be daunting because, especially if you are a person that is accustomed to face-to-face, the face-to-face environment, the actual, classroom where you go, actual blackboard, it might be daunting at first, but that is where I come in, because I can help to allay your fears that, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just that it is virtual, which means that it is readily available 24/7, which brings about the whole fact, the whole point of flexibility. And, as career persons, professional persons, we come along with various responsibilities. You might have persons who have children, you might have a job that is demanding. So there's that flexibility. And your study material is available online. If you want to, you can have the physical textbook, but it's actually different to the physical environment, because there's flexibility is one of the key factors that distinguishes, from the physical environment.
Great, yep. Well, you just talked about a little bit of a difference from, the campus, but what else can you tell us about the difference? I understand that you did study at the traditional campus. Can you speak to
Yeah.
any other differences in the
Sure.
two environments?
Sure. Yes, whereas in the traditional environment, you may come across not everybody's experience is the same, but I know there are persons out there who can actually testify and say, well, in the physical environment, persons might be a little bit, you know, reserved to share information, and that I must highlight that's where learning takes place. Whereas in the virtual environment, you know, you're not only isolated to your own nationality, but you're also exposed to persons of varying backgrounds, varying cultures, nationalities, and persons are always there to lend a helping hand. And especially like, you might have persons in your module that might be struggling. You know, I have been in modules where, in fact, all of my modules we actually set up like different groups. You have like WhatsApp group, Facebook group. So persons are more willing to, you know, extend a helping hand versus sometimes the traditional face-to-face studies.
Okay.
So that's also another difference as well.
All right. Okay. Well, certainly thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And Chanel, we know that there is much interaction between students and a great deal of learning occurs from student to student. Can you now speak to us further about the collaborative learning model?
Sure. With the collaborative learning module, learning is, as I always say, learning is never in a vacuum. So therefore, you know, in the virtual environment, we bring our experiences. Um, we come from different professional backgrounds, different nationalities, cultures, and we bring all of that. So the virtual classroom actually acts like a melting pot because you actually get to learn from each other. So you're not only, restricted to learning from textbooks, where in a physical environment sometimes, especially if you are studying in a classroom setting where you have persons of the same nationality, but you're exposed to a global perspective. So your learning is actually from a global perspective, whereas in physical environment, you might be reduced to just, what's happening in your own country, in the region, but it brings about a global perspective.
Yeah, that's very true. When we tell students and candidates coming into the programs that you're learning from a global perspective, you just literally, expressed how global it can be. There are times where you're up and you're maybe in a classroom with someone in China. So it does definitely allow you to learn from more of an international perspective and be able to bring
Yeah,
all of that learning together and be able to apply those new learnings and strategies that you're learning from each other as well as your materials and the instructor. So thank you
yeah,
for sharing it.
you're welcome.
So now let's talk about the climb. And we know, did you have a favorite module within your program?
I must admit, I enjoyed every single one of them. It's hard to say that I had a favorite, but I enjoyed every single one.
Okay. Well, so what made you enjoy them? What was so enjoyable about each one of them?
Having to, because HR from the get-go, HR is my passion. So whereas you had different modules like strategic organization, you had, things like organizational learning. So everything actually played in together. So you're not only dealing with one aspect, but you're dealing with, as I tell people, HR is very diverse. So you're not limited to just one aspect of HR. You're actually exposed to every aspect, including for some people don't like numbers, but you're also in the HR program, you're also exposed to financial accounting. And so it's very diverse, very diverse. That's why it's hard for me to say that, you know, to single out a favorite because I enjoyed every single one of them.
Well, that's definitely understandable. Now, was there any particular aspect of your studies that you felt really good about?
Oh, sure. I actually felt good that I was able to overcome because I was involved in an accident the same time, the week before I was about to start my studies. I was involved in a vehicular accident, and from that accident, I suffered soft tissue injury, which is challenging because having soft tissue injuries to your back, is not one of the easiest things to deal with, and having going into a new program and then having to be faced with such a situation was one of my greatest challenges. But I I didn't let it get the best of me. I work did what I had to, do. I made sure that the university was aware of the situation, and that meant I had to submit all of my supporting documentation, like my certificates, etc., so that they would know my circumstance. And because with the virtual environment, you also have assignment deadlines, and one of the key factors persons who prospective students out there who are looking to pursue their studies must, realize is that anytime you're faced with a challenge, reach out to your student support managers. They will guide you throughout the process. They would advise you the best course of action to take. Submit your supporting documentation so that university personnel will know, what the challenges you're being faced with. So for me, having soft tissue injuries, it, the university was aware of my circumstance, and, from time to time, they would have, expected that my assignments, would have been late because, you're on medication, and then you have to wait till it wears off. And then sometimes, you're in such excruciating pain that it's so hard sometimes to submit online, on time. So for me, it was the beginning stage for me was a little rough, but I didn't let it get the best of me. Just kept pressing on because I didn't want that to get the best of me and get into, the way of my studies. So it is a climb because you move from a circumstance, from a challenge into, actually working and pressing on towards your goal, and which I must say I did because I pressed on. I made sure, even though at times, you felt like giving up, sometimes because the pain was so much. But I said, you know what, I have to get through this. I have to submit my assignments. So I just kept, pressing on, and it is a climb. Mm, It is a climb.
I must say, Charnel, you're giving me goosebumps over here because, I listened to your story, and it is, the story of so many. I think when it comes to studying and giving up your time, it's obviously a sacrifice. And, some people are willing to make that sacrifice. They understand the true goal and the reward that comes at the end of making the sacrifice. What made you decide that in spite of everything that you were faced with in that moment, the pain, the time that it was obviously going to take away from you being able to do other things, what made you decide that it was best for you to start at that moment?
Well, at that time, I had just graduated from the Barbados Community College with an associate degree in office administration and management, and I had just received the news that I was accepted into the university, and I said, "There's no way, despite having these injuries, I'm gonna let it get into get into my way at any time because I had my goal in mind, and I just tried to deal with the situation as it played out, and try to keep focused."
Right, okay. You did tell me before you were saying, you know what, I realized that just taking time, we always say we're going to take a break, and a break turns into too long a break. So I
Oh
recall
yeah,
us
oh
speaking
yeah,
about that. So
oh
I'm
yeah,
glad that in spite of it all, you decided to take that leap, pull the trigger, and just go ahead and get started. And obviously the reward was great for you.
yeah.
So I would ask, what was your greatest challenge? Do you feel that was your greatest challenge, or is there any other
Mm,
challenges?
yes, that was one of my greatest challenges. The other challenge um, that I should let persons out there be aware of. From time to time, you might come into having internet connectivity challenges. And when it comes to that, what I always advise persons to do is to make sure when that happens, don't let it get the best of you. Keep working, even if it means that you have to go into a physical library and do your studies, do it. Because I know from my circumstance, we had a situation where someone had hacked into the internet infrastructure, and that knocked out. It was totally, island wide. So therefore, you have at sometimes you had sporadic connectivity, and then there are times that you just had no connectivity. So what I would do when they had sporadic connectivity, I would normally try to push as much work as possible. And then when I realized that it has, there's no connectivity, I would still try to do my research via textbooks, research articles, but at no time don't let that get into your way. Even if it's isolated to just, your household and you can go to a friend or family or relative and have connectivity there, even if you have to go to a public library. I would advise that you, do that. There should always be a backup plan in place.
Awesome. I was just thinking, it sounds like what you're saying is just make sure you have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, as far as online study tips, you were obviously a successful student. Do you have any online study tips to share with our audience?
Yes, sure. Um, Study tip number one, always prepare your assignments. Don't wait till last minute. Don't wait and say, well, I have a lot of time, because time catches up on you very quickly. So as soon as you get your assignment, make sure you start pulling your journal articles. You build your bibliography. Don't wait till last minute to do that, because if you wait till last minute, chances are you're either going to leave out, crucial material that, might be substantial to your assignment. So always build your assignment, prepare your assignment beforehand. Even if it means that you have to sacrifice your lunch hours, which I did, and I did it every day. In order to prepare my assignments beforehand, I used to sacrifice my lunch hour, go and study during my lunch hour, even if it means that you do that, but never wait till last minute. Tip number two, never plagiarize. That is one of the that's one of the biggest things you should never do, because I know for one of my modules there was this guy in my class, and week by week I realized, we're looking kind of familiar, because when you pull your research, you're doing your research, you're building your research material, you get accustomed to seeing the material so much that it sticks. It's actually, it sticks in your brain. So I was like, well, this looks familiar. And then when I realized, it's like, but this guy is plagiarizing. One of the things, never plagiarize, because the university does not take kindly to it. They will issue a first warning, which is a soft warning. They will issue a second warning. But the third, three strikes and you're out. So never plagiarize. Study tip number three, always make sure that you have a good support team. That will go a long way in your studies, because once you have a good support team, things will flow much easily. And study tip number four, always make sure to have a backup plan. This is vital. So if one aspect fails, you have an alternate arrangement to turn to.
Definitely. Great advice. Great advice. And I hear commonly, I've done a few webinars at this point, and with every person that we've done these webinars with, the common advice would be to have a support system. Obviously, getting people on board, it makes all the difference in how well you can do within your studies. And we do often promote, finding study buddies, and study buddies meaning people that are starting with you, or making sure your family is on board, making sure they understand that this is important to you and that it's important for them to work with you through the
Yeah.
process of earning your degree. And I am actually, I've learned online myself, and I have children. So for me, it was when it's time for me to study, it's time for them to study as well. So getting people on board and having that support system seems to be a very common tip for most of our students. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And let's talk about career advancement. Can you tell us a bit about your career and how your new degree has impacted your career?
Yes. As a personnel officer, which was a promotion I received about a couple months ago, 3 months ago. Well, the end of this month, I made 3 months. Coming from a secretarial background, um, while I was pursuing my studies with the university, I was actually building all the knowledge, and I was actually developing at the same time, developing within the HR realm, because my organization is HR based. So being in the secretarial arena, it allows you to have that foundation. So once you have that foundation, then you can build on that. And with my all the knowledge that I have learned through my studies, helps to solidify all that I have learned. And now I'm able to put what I have learned into practice, because yes, it's good to have the theory, but at the end of the day, it is exceptionally, awesome when you can put that into practice.
Okay, so you definitely say that what you were learning in the classroom, you were able to put it into practice and make it work as you were
Yeah.
learning.
So you actually apply all, what you have learned. Yeah.
Great, great. Nick, you have any questions about the career part of it and how she's progressing?
Absolutely, and it's just really refreshing to see, Chanel, that that's one thing that is really at the core of our programs, is that this is not just something that's going to take you places academically. It's also something that's going to take you places professionally. And
Yeah.
Chanel, it sounds like that's exactly what it did. It sounds like you were in a position prior to your new role that wasn't really fulfilling your skills, and now through the program, it seems like you have your dream job and you're ready to move forward in your career. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear, and congratulations to you on your new post.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And we always talk about the fact that you study online, but you graduate on campus. Chanel, I understand that you attended graduation in Liverpool. Would you please tell us a bit about your journey to and participation in the graduation? I imagine it must have been really amazing.
Yes, it was amazing. It was a really amazing. It was an experience out of this world, because when you're behind a laptop or a PC, it, you know, yes, you're behind that PC, but to actually be in the physical space, actually get a feel of the university, you actually put a physical perspective to the university, it saves so much, because you would have spent years behind a PC. Yes, you would have seen your classmates. Probably you would have seen what some of them look like through Facebook or WhatsApp. But to actually get out there and meet your academic personnel and your classmates physically, it is wonderful. And I must say, must let persons know that the graduation does not only it doesn't only limit you to graduation on the day alone, but it is a week long of activities. You have your meet and greet, and then you have various tours. You can take a tour of, you can do a Beatles tour if you're a Beatles fan. So there's so many different activities. Each faculty have their own reception for their students, and for online students, you're not left out at all because many persons may think, okay, you're online students, so your your degree is gonna have on say you're online student. No, it does not say that you're online student. Your degree actually is the same degree awarded to on-campus students. So you're not left out in any way. And you also have actually an online reception in your honor. So it is a wonderful experience which I always advise like friends of mine who are studying with the university to, if they can, attend graduation because it is an experience. You can't put it down to words. It is a feeling. So it is. You have in order to know how it feels. You have to experience it, and it is a wonderful experience from actually preparing for the whole process, as in booking your flight, making your hotel accommodation, to actually on the day putting on, being fitted with your cap, your gown, your mortarboard. That puts the icing on the cake. Wearing that gown, it is wonderful. And actually getting to meet persons who would have studied with you, even persons who would not, who are actually part of your program that were not actually in your module, and actually, getting to meet other persons from other nationalities, it is a wonderful experience. I can't help but say it is a wonderful.
Yeah,
And Chanel, tell us a bit about how you like the Liverpool weather.
Oh my gosh. Coming from the Caribbean, coming from the tropics, having that nice sunny weather, it was a little shocking at first because I remember the one when we touched down at Manchester Airport, because for persons coming from the Caribbean, they might be a little, some persons might want to know, well, how do I get to Liverpool? There are flights that take you to Manchester, which is easier than going to London, which I would advise persons coming from the Caribbean. It's easier to go to Manchester, get a flight that goes to Manchester, drive over to Liverpool. You can fly to Liverpool, but it's best to drive. Taking all that there is to taking. Wonderful scenery, it is lovely, but the weather, you have to climatize yourself. My first morning when I actually got in and I got out of the airport, I was like, I remember I had turned to my dad. I was like, "What is this? That is the cold?" And we were shivering. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And this was summer. At summer, we normally expect sunny weather, nice sun. You get a little breeze, but it was, I can't even say chilly. It was cold. It was freezing. But after a while, you get accustomed to it. So always make sure that you're prepared, as in dress wise.
bring
Always
your
make
long
sure
sleeve
that,
shirts, huh?
yes, oh yeah, yes,
Okay.
definitely make sure you're prepared.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience. And obviously, you had a wonderful time, and that's what it's all about. After doing all that hard work and putting in all those hours, and if getting through all the obstacles, why not make that trip and enjoy the opportunity to walk across stage with everyone else and enjoy that time and get that, it's the icing on the cake, as they say.
Yes, it is.
So let's talk about the Alumni Network. So have you joined the Alumni Network as of yet?
Yes, I have. I made sure to join when there was a booth set up at graduation, and I made sure to to sign up. The only thing, I didn't receive my PIN the same time because, with all the activities that, you know, there is to take in, I was pressing for time. So I remember I wrote back to the alumni and I alerted them I didn't receive my PIN, and they made sure to have my PIN, you know, sent to me here in Barbados, and that was wonderful. And I must add this point. I'm also in the process of having a local alumni set up here in Barbados because in the Caribbean, Barbados has one of the biggest um, both past and present students who are studying with the university. So I saw it fitting that, you know what, we need to have a local alumni set up here because
Chanel? I'm sorry, we may be having a little bit of technical difficulty. Bear with us.
Nicole, while we're waiting for Chanel, we have a bunch of questions, and I'd like to just take a second to answer a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
That's absolutely fine, Nick.
Sure. Well, thank you all for the questions. We will try to get to all of them. The first one is, are there exams or lectures or standardized tests for the University of Liverpool program? That's a really good question. So the way that our program is delivered is through 100% asynchronous environment. So you're never going to have to worry about any exams, tests, traveling, seminars. Everything that you're going to be doing within the program will be done, one, on your local time zone, and it's also going to be done through an asynchronous environment, which means it never has to have any time that you need to be logged in or attend a webinar or a Google Hangout or anything of that nature. So we allow you to structure your week based on everything that you have going on within your career. So that is a really good question. The second question is regarding financing and the payment options. Nicole, did you want to take that one, or would you want me to address that?
Sure, I can address that. So we offer 4 different payment options with the University of Liverpool. One of the options would be to pay on a monthly basis. The other would be to pay per module, meaning you're paying as you are advancing within your modules. The third is to make 3 payments over the lifetime of your program, which means you make a payment at the beginning of your program or the first module, around module 5, and then during your dissertation. And then we have the 1 lump sum payment. So there are several options available to students to help them with making this feasible for them as they are progressing in their studies.
All right, great. And one more, as it appears that Chanel is experiencing some technical difficulties. It looks like she'll be getting back momentarily. The second, or the last question that we have coming through here is regarding the international classroom. So again, how does that work with time zones and collaboration? So 40% or 40, welcome back, Chanel. Glad to see you back.
We can't hear you, Chanel. So you...
So as I was saying while we wait for Chanel, it is a global environment, 100% collaborative, where yes, you'll be sharing ideas with students from around the world, but as far as the time zones and the structure of the collaboration, it's going to be on your local time zone. It's always going to be set on midnight, your local time, and the collaboration is a very core component to your studies, because as Chanel said, you're not just learning from your textbook, you're not learning from your professor's feedback, you're going to be learning through the others in your classroom. So those were 3 great questions, and thank you to our support.
And Nick, if I can provide just a little more clarification as to the collaboration perspective. When we say collaboration, it does not require that you're on your computer at a specific time to meet with everyone else in the classroom. It is a threaded discussion that allows you to post to the topic and then allows you to go back and read your peers' responses and post to their responses within the classroom. So that's where the collaboration piece comes in. Okay. All right, so Chanel, are you okay? Is everything okay? Okay, we still can't hear you. Well, we're going to have Chanel continue to work on that, and we'll try to move forward a little bit within the webinar. Okay, so we talked about the alumni network a bit. Chanel is obviously a member of the alumni network and actually an avid member. She's creating a local chapter, which we truly appreciate. She absolutely loves the university, and so she advocates on a regular basis. She refers on a regular basis, and we do appreciate that from Chanel. So let's speak a little bit about the support network. So Nick, with Chanel currently getting everything together on her end, the technical issues she's having, tell us a bit about the different support options that we have within the university.
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to, Nicole. As Chanel mentioned, support is at the forefront of our university. It's our goal from enrollment, where I work, to student support, to faculty, to technical help, to really give you the tools that you need to be successful. So from your first moment of contact with the university, you'll have a point of contact, and all the way through the program, through our writing center, to technical support, to the online library, we really go out of our way to give you all the tools and a premium support that you need to really be successful. Not just a hello, how you're doing, but really in-depth support from, again, the writing center to technical support, all the way through your professor that you're getting weekly feedback from. So I've been in higher education for 15 years, the last 10 or so in online education, and our university is by far leaps and bounds ahead of any other university I've seen as far as the way that the support operates.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing. Now, Chanel, are you able to speak now? Not yet. We can't hear you still. Oh, we want to hear you. We want to hear you. Well, we'll continue, and hopefully at some point Chanel will be able to chime in and give us more feedback on her experience. So let's now speak about the next steps. Chanel, we do thank you again. I know you're having a little bit of technical issues, but we do thank you for sharing the experience that you have. I think you may have very well inspired several people in our audience today. And with that in mind, we want to move forward and talk about the next steps a bit. So, Nicholas, tell us about what someone needs to do if they are interested in applying for admission to the University of Liverpool online.
Absolutely, Nicole. Really, the first. Chanel, are you back?
Hi.
Welcome back. We missed you.
So we did speak a little bit about the support services. So if you have anything quickly that you'd like to add to what we were saying about support, then by all means, feel free.
Yes. The support team, they're always there for you 24/7. When I say 24/7, they're always backing you. So whatever challenges you have, don't be afraid to reach out to your student support manager, because they are one of the key persons, when it comes to guiding you through various processes. They're always there. So don't feel timid to reach out to them. Always make sure to let them know, keep them abreast of what's happening. If you have any problems, make sure to let them know, and they will guide you. They would advise you, the best route to take, the best course of action to take. So don't be afraid to reach out to them.
you. Thank you for sharing. And so, Nick, as far as the next steps, can you tell us about what someone needs to do to get started?
Absolutely. So we are currently enrolling for our last session of the year, December 7th. We did have a question that popped up. Sorry for the delay in answering this, but is it too late to apply for December 7th? No, we are accepting late applications for the next 3 weeks. So really the first step in joining Chanel in her journey as a Liverpool graduate is to get in contact with us. We'll be on after the presentation this evening to talk about the application, so please don't be shy and send us a note. You can also go online if you feel the need to do a little bit of independent research after the session, and go online and contact us, call us, chat us. We have a chat box on our website, so we're here to support you, to hear from you, and help you begin the dream of being a Liverpool graduate. So the next step really is we're here, we're waiting to hear from you, and give us a ring.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick. And can you speak a bit about what makes a successful application? Obviously, that's one of the bigger factors of getting into the university is providing a successful application. What makes a successful application?
Absolutely, and like Chanel had spoke about, is the application mimics the program. So to be a successful applicant, you need to be prompt, you need to be proactive, you need to stick to the deadlines advised by your enrollment advisor, and just think of it from this perspective. You're auditioning for a spot in a top 1% university in the world. So you need to conduct yourself appropriate with your writing and your motivation and your documents and your letter of reference. So it's a serious process, but rest assured we are here to make it a streamlined and easy process for that matter.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick, for sharing. Now, with that, we are ready to bring in some questions. I know we've answered some questions throughout the webinar, but let's quickly answer some more questions. So, Nick, do you have any other questions from our guest?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So this one is for Chanel, and there seems to be several questions about, the work-life balance when studying. So can you share a little bit how you were able to manage that and be successful with working full-time and studying, an accredited program that was demanding?
Yeah, sure. One of the things before I started the program, I assured myself that I have to make sacrifices. And for me, I gave up a lot of leisure time. So like Saturday and Sundays, I consider those not mine anymore because they were dedicated to my studies. So because it's not easy working and studying is one of the hardest things to do. And you have to make sure that you have a very good plan in place. So you have to prioritize certain things. So you have to make sure that you manage your time well. So it means if you have to set up a little schedule of dedicating a certain amount of time to studying, a certain amount of time to, let's say, family time, and try to balance it. It might not be easy at first, but you get accustomed to it. And with online studying, there's the flexibility. So, in my case, I actually worked I studied like 40 plus hours a week. For some persons, it might not be that easy because you have kids, you have various commitments, you might be part of various organizations. So it's all about finding that balance. And once you find that balance, you find that the whole process begins to balance, and it makes it much easier. But it's to find your group where you're most comfortable at. So if you're comfortable at giving up your Saturday and Sunday to studying, I would say go there. If it's going to be a little difficult. You have to find your niche. So you have to find what suits you, what suits you best. Because everybody is not, everybody's not going to have the same schedule. So find your own groove, and once you find your groove, it should be good.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And so we'll be answering some of the other questions in the background. So continue to send your questions. And Cherno, we do appreciate you answering that question for us. So let's talk about the Recommend a Friend program. Now, before we close, I'd like to take a moment to mention that we have a Recommend a Friend program. Conditions do apply, but for some students who recommend a friend to study, you can both receive or enjoy a financial reward. As we say, those that study together succeed together. And next, we are ready as soon as December 7th. Our intake is actually on December 7th. We are enrolling students as we speak for that intake date, and we do have several enrollment advisors here this evening that are ready to assist you with moving forward with your studies. No need to wait until tomorrow. We're here to assist you with getting started on your goal today. And with that, we'd like to thank you all for attending. Nicholas, Jamie, Sammy, thank you guys for your assistance with the webinar. And to Cherno, a grand thank you for your information and knowledge and the shining example that you are as a successful student. Cherno, in closing, do you have any final words to share with our audience?
Yes, I do. Always make sure that once you start your program, for those who are now starting, it might seem daunting, but always think about the journey. Always think about what it means to pursue such a program. Always look at it as I am working towards a common goal. There are times that things are going to get rough because it's not always smooth sailing. There are times when you're going to be faced with various challenges. Don't let them hinder you. Always make sure to work towards your goal. And as I always say, use graduation as that benchmark. Use
That's a
that
good
as the
suggestion.
benchmark because it is one thing to start a program, but it's also another thing to actually reach graduation. And even if you're not in a position to attend graduation, actually pursuing such a program because it calls for sacrifice. You would have made various sacrifices, you know, see it right through because the rewards in the end will be beneficial not only to you as an individual but to the organization with which you work with. And also for your developmental goals.
Awesome. Well, we've all heard the saying that nothing worth having comes easy, right? So same applies to your studies. So we do appreciate your time, Cherno. You have been wonderful. We do appreciate the fact that you took the time to speak with our candidates that are coming into the program. Again, guys, Nick, Sammy, Jamie, we appreciate your time. To our audience, we are here. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. The question box will remain open. And again, we are here tonight to speak with you tonight, so don't wait till tomorrow. So with that said, this has been a University of Liverpool online webinar. Thank you all. Our best to you, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.